Mully and Haugh, Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score, and what a delight to talk to Tom Ricketts, the Cubs chairman, joins us now on the Signature Bank Score Hotline. Signature Bank, making commercial banking personal. Tom, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. We're doing great, and it is fantastic that the convention is back. It's going to be a ton of fun at the Sheraton this weekend, and the fans get to come back out, and they get to see some new players and a new team, and you'll be talking to them as well, Tom. It's wonderful to have a little normalcy return to our lives.
Yeah, no kidding. I love convention weekend. It's just a lot of fun for everybody. A lot of people bring their families in from out of town. They stay at the hotel. They get autographs. They get to see players on panels. We'll be talking to the assembled group in the morning, and then I'll be wandering around throughout the weekend. And it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. And we have a great turnout. Almost all of our players will be there. A lot of our past players, all of our Hall of Famers, and a lot of our prospects are coming in too. So it'll be a great weekend.
And the Ricketts family panel returns. You get a chance to face the audience, Tom. I know that was over the past couple of years something you said polled poorly, and you didn't have it, and you didn't want it, and maybe the fan reaction was something you couldn't count on. What are you expecting, and why did you bring it back?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we did it as kind of a meet the family thing years ago. And after a while, it kind of became something that was kind of the same every year. So we get the fan surveys back, and they thought that wasn't the most exciting panel. So we dropped it. But if people want it back, I'm happy to talk to anyone. I mean, as you guys know, I'm as available as any owner in sports. And happy to do it tomorrow. We'll talk a little about where we see the organization going. Laura will be up there with me for a bit talking about where Cubs Charities is going. And so we'll just see what people want to hear. But happy to do it.
Yeah, it's always fun, and the fans are great. So you get some surprise questions and you get some crazy questions, but and every once in a while someone has a complaint about a ticket, which I always found amusing. You gotta let everybody know, hey, there's other places to get that done. But I'm curious, Tom, how has this been for you? Famously, you met your wife at Wrigley. You were a fan before an owner. What has it been like going through the last couple of years, and do you feel like you've kind of gotten through the tunnel a little bit here?
Yeah, obviously the last couple of years have been more difficult. I mean, particularly given that it was just time to move on from the players that we all watched for so many years and really got to know and really loved, And so, it was a tough realization that was what we had to do next to build the next great Cubs team. But I also, during that same period of time, know that we're following kind of a playbook that worked for us before. So I always had confidence that Jed would be able to get the team back on top of our division. And so I believed in the process, and I believe in Jed and everything he's done and all that, but it's still tough. It's tough to lose games. It's tough to lose players that you like. And so the good news, the really good news about it is those years have been really, time well spent. We have a farm system that's toward the top of the league again. And if you look at the last 15 World Series winners, they all had top farm systems in the couple of years before they won the World Series. So we knew that was a prerequisite to getting a next great Cub team going. And now we have a lot of depth in the farm system. And now going into this year, we're kind of back on offense, adding pieces to the major league club that should put us back in contention for our division.
And you wrote a letter to season ticket holders at the end of the season. I think it was in October. You promised they would be active in free agency. Jed Hoyer termed it intelligent spending. That would be the approach. How important was it, Tom, for you to make a statement, for the Cubs to, remind people that they were in a big market and they were a big market team that was going to act like one in this offseason, and you were going to be as aggressive as you turn out to be?
I think it's important. You do have to, I mean, I see it from a fan perspective. I mean, you want to know going into the season that your team is all in and they're competing for the division, and that's the message we wanted to make sure people got this offseason. We did have a lot of financial resources that Jed thought probably would be better spent this year than last year. So he did reserve a little bit to make sure that we could put a little extra into this season, and I think that was the right thing to do. But now we're in a good position. We haven't finished our off season yet, but we'll be back among the top spenders and near CBT levels, and putting a lot of the cash that we have on the field, but without doing it in a way that we think will hurt us in the long run.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to watch this team being built, and I don't know if you were aware of it or not, but man, we were hearing from so many people that if they didn't get a shortstop, Dansby Swanson, obviously Dansby's on board and he'll be at the convention, and the guy looks the part of a hero, for God's sake. But I mean, that was almost a relief to people that you got that one done. That's a big deal, and a lot of people thrilled about it.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a great signing for us. It really solidifies middle infield. And one thing, Jed can talk to this better than I can, but like defense is going to matter more. We're seeing the shift go away in Major League Baseball this year. So second base is going to be a premium defensive position, just like it was when we were kids, right? And to be able to move Nico over to second, where he's a Gold Glove caliber, maybe a Platinum Glove caliber type second baseman, and of course Swanson won the Gold Glove last year at short. I think that's really going to be a great cornerstone for our team for years to come. And the other thing about Swanson, when you're adding free agents, when you're adding to a young team, the character and the quality of the player is very important. And across the board, Swanson is known as one of the higher character players in the game, and that's going to be very important. And on top of that, when we looked at the free agent shortstops that were available, it was our opinion that he was the one most likely to stay at shortstop. Obviously a very athletic guy, great defensive player, good offensive player as well. But we thought that he would be a guy that we could keep it short for a long time and really build around. So he was the person we wanted in the off season, and we're just really glad that we got it done. And then of course there's a lot of other additions on the team that are going to be really helpful as well.
Tommy, talk about approaching the competitive balance tax threshold, and I think it's interesting. Curious about your perspective out in New York. Mets owner Steve Cohen is committing about $500 million to next year's team alone, and I just wonder overall, we asked the question rhetorically, is this good for baseball? Is it bad for baseball? I think fans love that activity, but from your perspective, how much pressure does that put on a guy like you in a big market when the fans are looking at what's going on with the Mets to respond in kind and to be a little bit more aggressive than maybe you would be comfortable?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that's happening with the Mets, but I don't really want to focus on what other teams are doing. I don't know what their strategy is or how they're financing their player decisions. I think for us, we just know that we have to just do what we know how to do, and let's build a team from the ground up, because that's how championships are won. And if there's other teams that are spending in a way that we don't understand, then we just have to let them do it and let it all be settled on the field.
Tom, to that end, revenue streams, etc. How is the Sportsbook project going, and how will that aid in terms of revenue and more money for players, payroll, etc.?
The Sportsbook will help. We get a sponsorship from DraftKings for that, so those are dollars that are basically put back on the field. So it's helpful. That'll be open this spring. It'll be really cool. We'll have to have you guys up there. But on the business side, things are pretty solid. I think we're pretty steady on that front, and we'll have the resources to give to Jed when to keep a great team on the field.
Along the same lines, the Marquee Sports Network will have its fourth season already of Cubs baseball beginning in March, and I believe that they're televising every single aspect of this Cub convention. You're probably on the air right now, Tom, because they're so wall-to-wall coverage. Let's look at that, though. The ratings have been down the last couple of years in a row. Maybe that's related to the team struggling as well. I just wonder, at the beginning of this, based on where you wanted it to be and how its effect on the overall bottom line, how would you describe the Marquee Sports Network journey to this point?
Oh, it's been an absolute home run. I think if you look at it from a financial perspective, it has been very successful. If you look at what's happening with regional sports networks in general around the league, they're under a lot of stress. People are cutting their cable cord, and they're not. The sports networks aren't as stable as they once were. Whereas we've been very successful in getting ours financially stable and helping us in a lot of ways. So it's been a success from that point. But more importantly to me, it's just been great to be able to manage all of our own programming. We do a lot of specials. We've won a lot of Emmys for everything we've done. We can put more money into game day production. And I think that Mike McCarthy and the team over at Marquee have done an incredible job. And if you're a Cub fan, you've got to love the channel. It's bringing you not only our games, but whip around in the minor leagues and Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game. All this different stuff, all this stuff that we couldn't do when we had a lot of partners in our TV station. So it's been a great success. We're really excited about it going forward. It'll be fun to have convention on the air live for the whole weekend. And it's just, I think, just been everything we hoped it would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's hysterical in a way, Tom, because I think it was at the convention where the Marquee Network got booed, and you were stunned by that and asked, "What do you have against the Marquee Network?" It's a very famous drop.
You haven't even started yet, and you're booing.
Yeah.
I think people perceived that there was some kind of extra cost to it or something. I don't know, but I don't know where that came from. But I don't think anyone who's a hardcore Cub fan will be booze Marquee now. The only complaints I've ever got about Marquee is I get emails from people all over the country saying, "Why can't I get it?" And I'm like, "Well, these are MLB blackout rules and things I can't work around for the most part." But it's been a huge success. And you did point out ratings were a little lower. When the team isn't winning, ratings are very sensitive to that. So hopefully this year we'll get off to a fast start. Ratings will pop back to some of our historical levels. And obviously our game day production is terrific. Boog does a great job. All the different former players we have come through the booth do a great job. It's just a great production. And so I think, we need to get the product on the field up to the quality of the product in the booth, and we'll have another great year at Marquee.
Also at the convention this weekend, Tom, I think the Cubs are going to introduce 2 new members of the Cubs Hall of Fame. Also will bring attention and celebrate Pat Hughes, who's going into the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame. Mitch Rosen already has the weekend of July 23rd planned here at the Score. We're proud of him. We know that certainly the Cubs organization is proud of Pat. What does something like that do to the organization, and what plans do you have to celebrate Pat Hughes throughout the 2023 season?
Well, first of all, there's never been a more deserving member of the Hall of Fame on the broadcast side than Pat. The consummate professional, been doing our, I don't know how many times been Illinois Sportscaster of the Year, but Pat is just the best, and we're very, very happy for him, and it's very deserving. I'm sure we'll celebrate a few things throughout the season, and then we'll be strong in Cooperstown this summer. We always do it right for our Hall of Fame inductees, and we're looking forward to doing everything we can do to host Pat and his family out there and make it a really special weekend.
Yeah, you guys always handle things with class, and it was interesting to hear Jameson Taillon talk about the fact that the Cubs were the only team that sent someone out to talk to him in person when they were recruiting him. And we talked to Jed about it, and Jed had COVID at the time and couldn't make the trip. Otherwise, he would have gone too. But those touches end up really helping with player procurement, with sort of the impression you leave with people, so that if they're not coming this time, they'll come the next time, whatever it might be. It's a really it's a good way of doing business, and I know you're behind that.
Well, the free agents, they're obviously they're players and they're doing it for money, but they're people too, and they want to know that if they sign somewhere that organization is going to appreciate them, and they want to know where they fit in that organization. People want to come in as comfortable as possible to a new situation. And I think our guys have always done a very nice job of making certain free agents feel wanted and appreciated. And I think it's really a credit to Jed and Theo before him. Like, they were always very good at finding the guys they wanted and making sure the guys that they wanted knew that they were wanted here. And so I'm glad Jameson feels that way, and hopefully all the other guys coming in this year are pretty excited too.
Tom, I've been curious about this for a while from a local perspective, and yesterday the Bears naming Kevin Warren the team president brings it into focus. But it's a compliment to say what you've done at Wrigley Field, what you've done at Clark and Addison, Gallagher Way, to the way that has been its own mini entertainment district is something I think other teams could model. So as the Bears eye Arlington Heights as a potential new home, I know you have a relationship with George McCaskey, huge Cub fan, and I don't know if you know Kevin Warren at all, but have you discussed with them any parallels between the two situations? Do you look forward to those kind of conversations, and do you have thoughts on it?
Yeah, we're happy to help give them any type of insights or advice that they would want. I think they have a lot to sort out before they get to that stage. I think I sent George a note yesterday. I think he picked up a great team president, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do. And hopefully they'll get that situation into order, and we'll be happy to give them any type of insight we have.
Tom, I'm curious, what does success look like this year to you in terms of the performance on the field? What do you anticipate? Are you in the division? Are you going to win it? Do you have to get to the play? How do you view it?
Well, obviously we're going in looking to make a playoff spot. I think the difficulty in that is there's a lot of good teams in the National League, so maybe our best answer is to try to win our division. Because if you look at what's happening in the NL East, there's some teams that are really built for speed right now, teams that are really on top, a couple 100-win wild card type teams maybe out there. But really, for us, we've really solidified, we've improved our offense. We've got excellent defense. We have a lot of pitching depth, like we probably have never had here in terms of starting pitchers that we can use. And every day we're just going to give Rossi as many pieces and parts as we can. Let him and Andy Green and the analytics staff put together the best lineup for the day. And hopefully we get off to a pretty solid start and, try to stay at the top of our division all year. If things are going well in July, look to add a player or two to keep us on top. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the playoffs. That's the goal.
Whether it was saying goodbye to a member of the 2016 team like Wilson Contreras, who was a great Cub, or getting involved in the negotiation with Dansby Swanson, who is now a future and present Cub, that was an expensive investment, obviously. What was your role? How much was your involvement? I'm always curious to know when you step in, if you step in terms of these decisions and discussions.
Well, yeah, I talk to Jed pretty much every day. So I always have a pretty good feel for where he and the baseball guys are at on a particular player or a particular decision. With respect to direct contact with players, I'm always available. Sometimes there have been times where I'll go out to dinner with a potential free agent, but this time, I didn't meet Dansby until after we signed him. So you just try to be available and supportive, and if they think it's helpful to get on a plane to go see a guy, I've done that in the past. If they don't think it's necessary, or if the process is moving too quickly for that kind of meeting, then I just stay back and let Jed know how I can help.
Quick non-baseball question, Tom, before we let you go. I love the concerts at Wrigley. Saw Chris Stapleton there last summer. A lot of rumors about this. Can you confirm Bruce Springsteen, Wrigley Field? Any new concerts? Any ones you're looking forward to more than others?
I'm not sure which ones are 100% signed, to be honest. We'll have a good concert series this weekend, this summer, as we always do. I love the concerts as much as anybody, so I feel like I can go to Wrigley and I'm not really working that day. I can just kind of relax and have a beer and watch a show. But we'll get that out, we'll get scheduled out as soon as we can. But I'm not 100% on who's all signed and who's just in negotiations right now.
Sounds like you're going to announce it at the fan convention.
Sounds like that might be the
That's my only
surprise.
conclusion.
The boss is coming? Okay.
The boss will let you know. Hey, Tom, thanks a ton. Great catching up with you. Have a great weekend, a great season. We're looking forward to it all.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Take care.
That is Tom Ricketts. He is the chairman of the Cubs and